Okay, we're gonna take some questions. I just want to make an interim remark. You know, we're sitting here and things around us are up in upheaval. We look inside, and I'm talking from IPCRI's perspective, from my perspective as an Israeli, and we see a very clear dynamic of inaction. The situation whereby the interconnectedness between Israel and Palestine is increasing. We have more and more settlements there. It is a de facto single space. For at least for Israelis, we can go anywhere, and if we ignore the red and frightening signs at the entrance to Area A, so we really can go anywhere here. This fear that we are being fed, and a fear that seems to be holding our leaders hostage, is something that to many people, or I don't know how many people, but to many of the people who can raise their eyes and look at the situation, it's clear to us that this is counterproductive to the future of Israel from a purely Israeli point of view. And the big question is how do we break this? How do we break this petrification, or this great fear that Israel is held in? It was interesting. Last week there was Ron Pundak's released his new book about the secret channel that he was part of in the Oslo process. And I heard that I wasn't there at the talks, but Yossi Beilin said something interesting, and he said that when he read the script and he recalled almost the pettiness of some of the objections that Israel, these petty, but when you look at it from a perspective of 20 years, and maybe we should also be talking to our leaders not to be petty. It's this feeling that if you give a finger, then they're going to want all the hand, and refusing continually to see. Let's strengthen Abu Mazen. Let's do things that Abu Mazen or that the Palestinians will feel, wow, we've succeeded in getting something. We've succeeded in achieving something. We're seeing real positive signs. In Hebrew, there's a word that you can't translate into English called lefargen. Okay, what would happen if we can just imagine what would happen if the Israeli government, the Israeli regime, would lefargen, would be benevolent, would give the Palestinians some leeway and some successes. I can't. Driving up to Jerusalem every day, or almost every day, to IPCRI, I see these signs. Hishtaganu, have we gone crazy? Lo meshacherim rotzchim. You don't release murderers. Talking about people who are sitting in prison since before 1992. Okay, so this is like, so even this midat harachamim, the benevolence or compassion, even towards people who have paid their price to society, it really is unnerving and worrying, but giving up is not an option, and that's IPCRI's one of IPCRI's mantras. So just my 2 cents and questions. Hillel, please. Just mention who the question is directed to.
First of all, to Walid, but he isn't here, so I'll ask the panelists. I apologize for not being here at the beginning. This is Tel Aviv, not Jerusalem, and there was the launching campaign for Yitzhak Horowitz's campaign for mayor. So that is a sign of at least the difference between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. But okay, my questions are as follows, and I hope I'm not saying something that has already been said. But I agree that the Arab Peace Initiative is an historic opportunity for Israel, and my question is twofold. One, I heard, I believe, a statement coming out of the League of Arab States saying that this now new round, which Kerry is announcing of negotiations, may be the last opportunity to achieve a two-state solution, to achieve a solution now. Can you, the panelists, imagine, do you have any signs that the Arab Peace Initiative might be withdrawn if progress isn't made? That's my first question. My second question has to do again with something that Walid said, and that is how important it would be if spokespeople from Egypt and Jordan, the two factors who are mandated by the Arab Peace Initiative, by the League of Arab States, to speak to the Israelis, how important it would be if they would today speak directly to the Israeli public. And I would add also the Saudis, if they would do so, because the initiative originally began with the Saudi initiative. Can you conceive, given the current circumstances, that that is possible? That we could see an Egyptian, if we invited an Egyptian and a Jordanian and a Saudi, would they speak to the Israeli public?
We'll take another question.
Here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I found that it's a general question for anyone who wants to answer. I found all of the short talks very fascinating, but the topic is, I understood, is the influence of the regional dynamics on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict and how it might affect its possible resolution. And I didn't actually feel like you talked a lot about that. With the exception of Ashraf, I thought that where you put a lot of emphasis on the influence of Morsi's disappearance from the political sphere, on his influence on that influence on Hamas and the weakening of Hamas, perhaps, and how that might change the dynamic, and perhaps maybe the inspiration that Palestinians, both in Gaza and the West Bank, might gain from the Arab Spring around, and might actually put a different kind of pressure on the political leadership there and also the political leadership here. So I was wondering if you could kind of just try to address the question of the panel like more head on and say what you think. I mean, because one of the things, just a tiny little final point, one of the things that I was thinking when Walid was talking about the envelope, I actually thought, well, given the crazy stuff that's going on around, the envelope is a bit less appealing than it was yesterday, or that it was 3 years ago or something like that, because we don't know who's behind, who's signing that envelope now. You don't have Mubarak, you don't have Assad. So that's just...
Another question, or we'll answer and then we'll do another round? Who wants to?
I can imagine a situation that the Arab peace negotiation won't be on the table anymore. It is possible after a few years. If the situation will continue, I think that if there won't be a peace process between the two sides, the Palestinians won't go to the negotiation with the Israelis, and they will go to the United Nations, and the Arab world will throw the Arab peace initiative. It won't be on the table. I'm sure of that. After a few years without doing anything, it won't be. And there was a threat of the Arab League, the last one, that the Arab Peace Initiative won't be anymore on the table. This is something that we can't accept all the time. Expect all the time. It will be on the table all the years. This is one situation. About the people from Egypt and Jordan to talk with the Israelis, we, Walid and me, tried all the time to bring people from Egypt and Jordan to speak. It is easy from Jordan to be here and to speak directly to the Israelis. It is difficult nowadays from Egypt, but we convinced people from Egypt before maybe a month we were in Egypt to speak directly to the Israelis, maybe with spots or something like that, or DVDs that they can speak to the Israeli media, and we can manage all this until the situation in Egypt will be stable to have such a relationship. Nowadays there is a chaos in Egypt, and the public opinion cannot accept steps like that. This is the second question about the effect of the what happens in this region on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I spoke a little bit about how the Palestinian youth are affected of what happens in the Arab world. Also, there are many things that you can imagine in this aspect. It is not clear enough what will happen in the Arab countries. Also, if you see Egypt, and if you see Tunisia, and if you see Syria, you can't have a very clear conclusion that what will happen is a stable status that you can build on. But if this conflict will continue, I think it will be affected by the Arab people, not the Arab regimes. Nowadays, there won't be such regimes that are controlled by USA. It is not in Egypt, it is not in the other countries. Something changed in the Arab world. Now the public opinion, the people opinion is very strong on the regimes. Even when you see what happens in the countries like Qatar and Saudi Arabia and others, something between are changing. The regime is stable nowadays, but the people are moving towards something. If you see the Bahrain, like as example, Bahrain have a revolution, have Arab Spring, but because of the Gulf countries are controlled the security situation, we cannot see it very clear.